A seventh round of trade talks underway in Washington today between the United States and China. The Trump administration demanding a plan to end China's multi-hundred billions of dollars in theft of U.S. intellectual property and technology before the March 1st trade deadline. Higher-level trade talks led by Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, starting Thursday. Joining us tonight, Christian Whiton, Senior Fellow at the Center for the National Interest, former State Department Senior Advisor in both the Trump and Bush administrations. Great to have you with us. Christian, these talks, the president said they're going well. What do you see before your very eyes?
Yeah, I think the president is certainly wishing to express optimism and to give the Chinese every chance possible to come in from the cold, to stop their kleptocracy, their mercantilism, their unfair trade. The problem is, if you talk to people who are involved in these talks, they are being fairly tight-lipped, but there really isn't any detail on concessions that China is making. So they are offering to buy some stuff from us that would temporarily bring down the trade deficit with China for a couple of years, potentially. Yeah. But as far as systemic change, changing the way they do business, it doesn't seem to be anything. Now, they could have offered that and kept it private.
You use that word, Christian, systemic, structural. We're talking about half a trillion dollars about in theft by the Chinese each and every year. $500 billion stealing our technology, our patented, our most advanced intellectual property. And I frankly think the trade deficit's the smallest part of the deal. Don't you?
Yes, and the sanctions actually were imposed, the tariffs were imposed under Section 301 of our trade law, right, which focuses on intellectual property theft. So it's a little hard to say, okay, forget about it, just because they're buying some goodies if they don't actually change their ways on the IP.
Especially more soybeans, like we're an agrarian third world emerging nation. I can't get over that. And some of the business press that ballyhoos that kind of reaction on the part of the Chinese. This is, it seems to me, an extraordinary time in our history. The president is changing direction on trade policy, moving global trading partners to balanced, reciprocal, fair trade, away from the Chamber of Commerce Business Roundtable, what do they want to call it, free trade, and it only costs us trillions of dollars, that so-called free trade. At the same time, reasserting U.S. influence in the hemisphere and making it very clear to the Russians and the Chinese, and yes, even the Iranians, that this is not going to be a hemisphere that is going to be lacking for leadership, that President Trump means to provide precisely that, and support for the Venezuelan people in the most recent crisis.
Yes, it's a lot of big change out there with China. Again, going back to the 19th century, the Chinese have sold this mirage, this myth of this huge base of consumers that people can access, and they never delivered. If you're about to gain market share, they'll take it away from you. But Wall Street is missing some major trends. One is the slowing down of China and the fundamental change of our relationship that President Trump has delivered there. But two other things you alluded to, one of which is the growth and turnaround of South America. If it completes this transition from this pink socialist wave they went through to something much more capitalistic in Colombia, Argentina, and hopefully soon Venezuela. These are big changes in the world, big changes in our trade posture.
Yeah, socialism is, these are zombie states we're talking about. Moribund Cuba has a political activism that is energized in creating problems in the hemisphere, but it too is now threatened with extinction and will be extinguished most assuredly as a result of the Trump policies. Christian Whiton, as always, good to have you with us. We appreciate it.